All right, guys, so it's back day, one of the best areas and most effective areas to change, where if you guys want to go intensely and hit some heavy weight, back again, just like legs, is a big muscle group. So if you guys are looking to burn some calories, now's the time to go intense into this workout, hit this workout with everything you guys have. But we're going to first start off with two different exercises, a superset. We're going to go supinated barbell back row. Supinated means our hands are underhand, and we're going to pull directly while bent over. From there, we're going to go to a dumbbell lat row. Again, same position, just different target, hitting that muscle. What do you got to say for me?
Let's go. Show me how to do it, man. Let's go. Come on.
Right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I want your guys' rest to be no longer than 60 seconds, but we want to try to condense that into a 30 to 45 second rest in between each exercise. Again, no longer than a 2-minute rest in between each set. Say that right?
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Make sure that your feet are stationary and level with your shoulders. We're going to then bend down, get an underhand grip, come up, and now we're going to pull directly towards our belly button. All right, let that barbell rise your thighs, bring it all the way down for full range of motion. Again, all the way out, try to get it all the way up into your stomach. Good, nice pull. One thing I want you guys not to do is bounce with this weight. Nice controlled movements. Give me 2 more reps. All right, there you have it. From here, we're going to go right to the next exercise, which is a dumbbell lat row. Grab a pair of dumbbells. Make sure you guys get some challenging weight. We want to make sure that we focus on good form, breathing, and making sure we have full range of motion at all time on all exercises. First thing we're going to do is we're going to align our feet with our shoulders. We're going to then come down, bring those hips back, make sure that back is nice and flat. We're going to drop those arms all the way down, get those elbows as high as possible. The higher the elbow, the more effective the workout, the more intense we hit those lats. Again, we're going to drop them all the way down for full range of motion and give that lat a nice little pull, and then bring them all the way up. One of the things I want you guys to make sure that you focus on is your breathing. Make sure when you come up, you're exhaling, and when you come down, you're inhaling. All right, other than that, give me one more. Great. All right, so again, one thing we want to make sure that we're not doing is a lot of bouncing motions. What I do tend to see people, they'll be doing this or some type of bounce. You want to make sure your body's stationary and only move those arms in a full range of motion to make sure you get an effective hit on that lat muscle. Again, these are one of the biggest body parts on us, so make sure you guys train that intensely, go hard, take those nice short breaks, move on to the next exercise. Got anything for them?
I like to, on that last exercise, I like to think about putting a gun in the holster, pulling back towards the hips, just like you cued with the barbell row, pulling towards your belly button. On your bent over dumbbell row, focus on pulling those dumbbells in towards your hips. Put them in the holster.
There you go. Put your guns in the holsters, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay guys, here we go. Second superset of our back day. Now the first exercise we're going to do is the seated cable row. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that there's so many different variations of this machine. There's so many different attachments that you can utilize that can be kind of confusing. If you have the option, try to grab something that has a closer grip, something that's inside shoulder width, just because the angle we're trying to hit the back with this particular exercise is going to be more effectively achieved with a closer grip. So what you'll notice before DP starts his repetitions, he's got a slight bend in his knees, and he's focusing on keeping his chest up nice and tall and driving his elbows back. Just like with the dumbbell row, just like with the barbell row, he's pulling the weight into his belly button, his midsection area. Now, an important thing, just like always, focus on your breathing. So when he has his arms extended, he is taking his breath in, and then when he does the row, he is exhaling forcefully to make sure that he tightens up that core. And again, always thinking about keeping the crown of his head real nice and tall, because that's gonna help. That's gonna help keep that nice neutral spine alignment that we want, that nice tall, proper posture. Guys, right from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump up and we're gonna go over to our second exercise, which is a dumbbell variation of a deadlift. Now you can do this with 1 or 2 dumbbells, but I believe he's gonna do it with 2 just because he likes the extra challenge. So here we go. Let's go. Okay guys, so we just finished up with the seated row, and as we've been reiterating over and over again, the goal is to get to the next exercise quickly. So now we're here with the dumbbell deadlift. Now you can do this exercise with 1 or 2 dumbbells, but the challenge is if you want to get the most out of it, let's do 2 dumbbells. So DP is going to grab 2 dumbbells. Most important thing, start the foot position. About shoulder width, you want to make sure that as you do your deadlift, you focus on driving those hips back as you drop down with those dumbbells. Now, one thing that I don't like to see I don't like to see people round their back. So one thing I always cue all clients to do is to keep their eyes, don't do that. No, there's not a bunch of Ninja Turtles in the house here, okay? So what we want to make sure we do is as we drive those hips back, we also keep our chin from being fully tucked. So I always suggest look at the floor about 2 feet out in front of you, okay? Now what he's doing right now is what we call a version of an RDL or a straight leg deadlift. If you have trouble with tight hamstrings or if you have trouble with low back pain, what we can do is we can modify that just a little bit to incorporate a little less strain on those areas by bending the knees just a little bit more on the way down. So what you're gonna do is give me a little bit more of a deadlift, a little more, that's it, a little more bend with the knees. But everything else stays the same. He's focusing on gazing a couple feet out in front of him. He's focusing on keeping that core nice and tight. So it's a deep breath in on the way down and that forceful exhale on the way up. Guys, just like always, focus on choosing a weight that's challenging, but that you can complete all your repetitions in the appropriate form, because at the end of the day, if you're not completing safe, you're not completing effective. All right, guys, here we go. Our third pair of exercises, our third superset. Now, these are 2 of my favorite exercises in the entire program. And the reason being is because they tend to be overlooked by most gym goers. Now, the first one that we're gonna introduce you guys to, if you're not already familiar with this, is what we call a standing low cable row. Now, just like with one of the previous exercises, we're focusing on getting a slight bend in the knees, and you'll notice DP has that nice straight alignment through the back, just like we always talk about, and as always with all of these rowing motions, he's pulling in towards his midsection, towards his belly button. Focus on driving the elbows back. Now, you'll notice we have this set all the way as low as possible. DP can adjust his position in terms of how tall he stands to change the angle of the pull. If he wanted to, he could also adjust exactly how low or how high he was pulling from by moving that pulley either up or down. But the whole concept remains the same regardless of those factors. The idea here is trying to focus on proper posture, getting those elbows back as far as you can. At the very back of that squeeze, he's thinking about poking his chest out and getting his shoulder blades nice and tight together to activate as much of his posterior chain as possible. So even in this position, ladies, key for you, his glutes are activated, his hamstrings are activated, and the more bend he puts in those legs during this exercise, the more activation those muscle groups will get. All right, so what we've done there, low standing cable row, and now we're gonna move on to a supinated seated pull down. Okay guys, on to the second exercise in this third pair of exercises. Now what we're gonna do is a supinated pull down in a seated position. What you notice is this particular attachment we have forces DP's hands to turn so that if he was standing out, palms are up. There's different variations of this grip, just like with the other grips that we were using earlier in this workout, but the point is, as long as those palms are turned up to some degree, you're gonna be getting what we want in terms of hand position. So what he's gonna focus on doing is keeping his chest up nice and tall. When he's fully extended, deep breath in. When he pulls, he exhales out, tighten up that core. One thing to keep in mind with these vertical pulls, a lot of people try to overdo the amount of load they use on vertical pulls and they completely lose form. What you'll see is DP has no form of swinging or swaying or trying to create momentum with his body during this move. He's staying nice and vertical. He has a slight lean backwards so he can better engage those lats as he pulls those elbows down and back and gets a good squeeze. But other than that, there's no rocking, there's no cheating. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people become guilty of with overhead pulling, especially later in the workout. So when you're doing that movement, make sure that you choose a load that you can maintain proper form with, just like always, but particularly with something like this. You want to add anything to that?
Again, like you said, make sure you guys have your chest flexed up and make sure we're not doing any type of rocking motion. I tend to see a lot of people rock and pull because the weight is so heavy, and some guys just want to lift heavy for whatever apparent reason. But you want to make sure that you have the weight challenging enough so you can do the exercise correctly. Best form beats improper form every single time. So if you're looking to attack the muscle the right way, make sure that your form is intact, make sure your breathing is intact, make sure your rest is intact, full range of motion, like I always say. Other than that, on to the next one. All right guys, so for this finisher, we're gonna go straight to the resistance bands. Why? Because we want to give that muscle, target that muscle a lot differently, giving some resistance to that muscle. So the first thing we're going to do 3 different types of exercise. The first exercise is a resistant back row. So you guys can take your resistance band, you can wrap it around any type of object. You want to make sure you stand straight up. Slight bend in the knee, we're going to take full tension on the band and pull it straight to your chest. Get those elbows flexed back as long as you can, far as you can. Again, the more effective the elbows go back, the more effective you hit that lat. Again, make sure you keep some type of tension on that band, and then a full range of motion all the way back. Exhale on the pull, and then that's about it. That'll do it. So from this next exercise, we're gonna go straight into the resistant lat pull. And we're gonna get into a kneeling position. So now we have all our force, all our concentration directly on the lat. There's no bouncing, there's no swing of any sort. Vic is actually taking that band, bringing it all the way up, full range of motion, keeping that chest high up in the air, engaging the lats back here with a nice slight pause at the end. Again, I always say, make sure you guys have full range of motion. Make sure you guys are exhaling on the pull. And again, try to get as much tension on that band to get the most workout of that resistance. From here, we're gonna go straight into our next exercise, which is a lat push down. All right, you're gonna make sure those hips are flexed back, slight bend in the knee, chest is flared up, and we're gonna pull, keeping those arms nice and straight. Again, a full range of motion. We're gonna stretch that lat here, pull back. Notice that when he pulls, that chest comes out, and we get a nice, good pump, a lot of blood flowing to that lat. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do a resistance lat pull, that push down. All right, so that will conclude the back workout. Again, we wanted to finish off with some band work to give you guys some different type of resistance when hitting your back. Again, back is a very big day, so you guys can make sure you load up, hit these workouts intensely so you guys can burn a lot of different calories. For all my ladies, if you guys are looking to tone up, here again is the body part that we want to add weight, and don't get afraid to load up on these exercises. You got anything else?
No, like you said, just take advantage of the opportunity to work some large muscle groups and really elevate that caloric burn that you get from the lift. Just because you lift heavy weights doesn't mean it's gonna make you big and overly muscular if that's not your goal. There's other things you have to do in order to achieve that. So, like he said, do not be afraid to push the weight a little bit, because at the end of the day, regardless of whether your goal is to get bigger or smaller, that heavy weight is gonna help get you there, I promise.
All right.